guys, I have to be 100% real with you on this. I am actually surprised. I am actually shocked that the normal people who come out and run their mouth about this issue have not... I'm actually surprised they've not mentioned race not one time over this.
Soon was a shocker to a lot of people, especially here at the
but also, like, for the Crafts, this is a huge babyface move just because everybody, hated them from the dynasty.
That's who they wanted, no question about it. And he's a more seasoned, more experienced coach. I don't like this. They call it Black Friday Black Monday rather for a reason. This certainly typifies it. I don't know why it's not called White Monday.
So you guys obviously saw a little bit of Stephen A. Smith there. You guys obviously saw a little bit of Gronkowski there. You guys obviously saw a little bit of Pat McAfee there. And, of course, a lot of people were wondering why it is that Jerod Mayo was fired. Well, I knew that Jerod Mayo was going to be a disaster the minute that he said this here.
I do see color because I believe if you don't see color, you can't see racism. And whatever happens, black, white, disabled person, I've always, even someone with disabilities, I always, for the most part, people are like, when they're young, they kind of make the spot hot. Younger people know what that means. But what I would say is, no, I want you to be able to go up to those people and really understand those people. So it goes back to whatever it is, black, white, yellow, it really doesn't matter, but it does matter so we can try to fix a problem that we all know we have.
Let us contrast that to what Notre Dame's head coach said the other night after they won the Sugar Bowl.
You and James Franklin are kind of making history here. Can you kind of just put in perspective what it means to you to be, one of two black coaches in this playoffs?
Yeah, it's again, you're very grateful. It's a reminder that you are a representation for many others, and in many of our players that look the same way I do. That your color shouldn't matter, right? And that the evidence of your work should. But it takes everybody.
Race should never be an issue in sports, okay? It just should not be. And, of course, we've been getting an agenda over the past few years. Now, guys, really quick, before I talk about this and I talk about the coverage on this situation and why it is that I think that they may be overlooking somebody, I want to go ahead and say this before we fully dive into this. There's going to be 3 videos tomorrow. The second video is going to be one of those media criticisms that I said I was going to try to minimize to a certain degree in the world of politics, but I feel the need to actually throw it out there because there's this thing called narrative setting that needs to be talked about, and I've talked about this on several occasions in the past. I've obviously got to bring it back up tomorrow, so that will be in video number 2. And I will be talking about this FS1 sex scandal, still trying to gather a little bit more information on what's going on. So that video will be coming out third, probably right around 6 or 7 o'clock tomorrow night. It's going to be the last video of the day. But I did want to do this video right here because I've been kind of sort of waiting on these people to throw out the race card, the race narrative. And, of course, I haven't really seen it. So kudos to the media, kudos to the sports media for being 100 on this one right here and not throwing any shadiness out there. But still, though, at the same time, it looks like another shadier narrative could be out there. And, of course, that right there is the narrative that the New England Patriots did this right here to bring in Mike Vrabel. But before we talk about that, let's go to culture. So here's the thing about the NFL. Here's the thing about coaches. Typically, when you hire a brand new coach, you typically sign them to a contract. The contract may be 3 years. It may be 5 years. It just depends. And you want to see this coach build a team, build a roster. Now, you guys obviously saw that clip at the very, very beginning of what Jerod Mayo was thinking when he first got the job, and a lot of people criticized him over it. A lot of people have criticized Jerod Mayo over a lot of other things, but the fact of the matter is this right here. The New England Patriots did not improve a whole lot from the previous tenure under Bill Belichick, because the last year that Bill Belichick was there obviously did not go the way Robert Kraft wanted it to go. Me personally, I think that Robert Kraft had just been looking for an excuse to fire Bill Belichick since Tom Brady left New England and went to Tampa Bay. Which brings us back to Mike Vrabel, which, like I said, we'll get to here in a second. But the person I want to talk about right now is Gronkowski, because for whatever reason, people at Fox Sports or people around the internet believes that Fox Sports intentionally cut Rob Gronkowski off the other day when discussing this matter. Let me roll this.
Jerod Mayo out after one season as the Patriots head coach.
I was shocked by that, and to happen that soon was a shocker to a lot of people, especially here at the desk. We were all surprised by that. I think it was unfair to Coach Jerod Mayo. I mean, he had never had the chance to develop as a head coach. He was just a rookie himself in that department. And if you judge a coach by their first year, that's really not appropriate. I mean, Jimmy Johnson, you went 1-15 your first year, and then you won a couple Super Bowls after that. I mean, he really...
Hey, we got to go to break.
Of course, there was a header there over the top because Fox Sports is pretty bad about copyright, especially when it comes to the NFL. Now, what he's saying is true. You want to let a coach actually coach for a couple of years. Jimmy Johnson's actually a great example. The Dallas Cowboys, I think in 1989, they went 1-15 with Jimmy Johnson as their head coach. The following year, they were up to 500, and then in 1991, they went 11-5. A lot of people believe that was the start of Aikman, but in reality, Aikman got hurt, and Steve Berline became the quarterback for a short period of time. Steve Berline, by the way, is a name that a lot of people have forgotten. Very, very underrated backup quarterback. He was actually a quarterback in Carolina for, I think, a couple of years. I think 1997, 1998. He actually wasn't bad. Then again, the team itself was absolutely horrible. But then again, at the same time, though, what the hell do I know? I'm a Packers fan. I'm just going off of basic memory here, and I remember Steve Berline playing in Carolina. Still, though, the point is this right here. What Gronkowski is saying is 100% correct. You need to allow a culture to actually develop. But then again, though, let me go ahead and remind you guys why it is that culture in New England was never going to develop.
Color. Because I believe if you don't see color, you can't see racism. And whatever happens, black, white, disabled person, I've always, even someone with disabilities, I always, for the most part, people are like, when they're young, they kind of make the spot hot. Younger people know what that means. But what I would say is,
are you surprised that the team went 4-13? By the way, a lot of people were upset saying that the Patriots winning the last game of the year costed them the number one pick in the NFL draft. And my response to that would be a lot of teams went 4-13. A lot of teams absolutely suck this year. And to go on top of that, I don't see why you would care much about the first overall pick in the draft this coming year. The quarterback class coming in is absolutely putrid, and the Patriots seem to have their quarterback of the future, at least for the time being. So I don't see why the world you're so upset about that. I think if anything, you should be upset about the fact that the product itself was absolutely horrible. But let us get to this whole narrative about Mike Vrabel. First take.
That's what this is about. This is about Mike Vrabel. That's who they wanted. No question about it. And he's a more seasoned, more experienced coach. I don't like this. They call it Black Friday Black Monday rather for a reason. This certainly typifies it. I don't know why it's not called White Monday. Doug Peterson got fired from Jacksonville. He deserved that firing. Jerod Mayo clearly was not given an opportunity, a lengthy enough opportunity, considering what Bill Belichick left him with from a talent perspective, considering the record, considering the way the team performed. He didn't help himself with some of the comments he made, calling the team soft and what have you, and having to retract statements, and we get all of that. But no matter what we can point to, at the end of the day, the folks in New England were turning against Jerod Mayo. We all know this. And I think it has something to do with the fact that Vrabel is available, and that's really what's going on here. They don't want to lose him, especially to a team like the New York Jets. They want to be in the running, and they can't do that with him as the head coach.
Absolutely.
You know, guys, I mentioned something earlier about narrative setting and a video coming out about that. It seems to me like a new narrative is being set, but... Okay, you guys obviously heard that. Now to the Pat McAfee show.
On the other hand, this may be your only opportunity to hire a guy like Mike Vrabel. So I get it from both sides, but I think he was fucked over. But I think he'll get another opportunity at some point down the line to be a head coach again in this league.
I think the Crafts are getting anxious. They're tired of losing. I think I think they're trying to figure it out as fast as possible. And I think as a New England fan, you guys like that the Crafts made a decision to move on? Isn't that kind of the overwhelming?
Yeah, I agree with Debo. Like, it does suck, but also, like, for the Crafts, this is a huge babyface move just because everybody, hated them from the Dynasty documentary, and then obviously the team not doing well. It's kind of like, hey, this is all on you. So them doing this is kind of a big, like, hey, we did fuck this up. We're going to make a change, and because Vrabel's available and, like, a Ben Johnson's available, that the opportunities to get better quicker seem to be better with them. And also Mayo, defensive guy, the defense was so bad, and it was damn near the same as it was last year. So the fact that the defense got worse does not help. Shite.
Okay, I see where my man is going there. He believes he may have been after a little bit. And, of course, the Vrabel talk continues. And like I said, we'll get to Vrabel in a second. But I want to say this really quick about the whole black coach thing, because a lot of people believe that anytime a coach of color gets fired or a coach of color is not successful or can't be successful, it's because of the color of their skin. Mike Tomlin has a Super Bowl ring. He's been the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think, ever since 2007. He's been a very, very successful head coach. D'Amico Ryans in Houston has done a phenomenal job with that team, that franchise. It looks like they finally have a stable head coach. And, of course, there are cases like, say, Steve Wilkes, for example, which was the head coach, who was the head coach in Carolina for a bit. He got fired for doing what was actually a pretty good job. However, there's also some white head coaches that got fired for, really, to tell you the truth, stupid reasons. Frank Reich in Carolina, less than a year. He wasn't lasting. It's kind of funny. Here it is. I'm a Packers fan, but I'm talking about Carolina more. It's just kind of a revolving door of head coaches. But still, though, the point is this right here. Race is not always a factor in somebody getting fired. So to all the people out there who believe this was about race, I'm here to let you guys know right now that you are 100% wrong. I mean, how many times have I got to hear about Eric Bieniemy, yet he just got fired from another job? Eric Bieniemy, I've talked about before. I may save a video for him in the future because I'm pretty sure his name is going to come up because race scripters are going to do what they're going to race script. However, Jerod Mayo was fired from this job because Robert Kraft, quite frankly, just did not like the product that he was seeing. And no, obviously he was not a Rooney Rule hiring. Real quick, I want to go ahead and say this. The Rooney Rule has got to be the worst rule in NFL history. And the biggest reason why it's the worst rule in NFL history is because it automatically assumes that a head coach is going to get a job because of their race, while at the same time also telling same city head coach who could be in the hiring pool, you will not get the job because of your race, because we are only here to interview you because the rule states that we have to interview you. It doesn't work out for either side. I think these people need to stop. I may even do a video on the future of on the history and the potential future of the Rooney Rule down the road. Who the hell knows? But the fact of the matter is that Jerod Mayo no longer has a job. And, of course, the mainstream media, or at least the sports media, has been pretty daggone good about telling the truth about this situation, that the product on the field was absolutely terrible. Which brings us to this question about Mike Vrabel. You see, a lot of people believe that Bob Kraft got rid of Jerod Mayo just to get Mike Vrabel in. And as I've said just a second ago, no, Jerod Mayo was fired because the performance was putrid. Would there be a future in New England for Jerod Mayo? Probably not, especially based upon what was said in the press conference. Robert Kraft had already hired him. What the hell is he going to do? Is he going to fire him on the spot? I'll link the full interview in the description box for you guys. That way you guys can see the whole press conference, because Robert Kraft seemed a little bit caught off guard when he was actually asked about what Jerod Mayo had just simply said, especially on the topic of race. It's almost like he wasn't expecting it, because Bob Kraft is pretty well respected in the New England area. I mean, the New England Patriots have got, 6 Super Bowl rings all under his watch? I'm just saying that the guy's pretty well loved, pretty well liked, okay? People view his name with success. Just simply saying. But the Vrabel narrative, I think, is a narrative that's getting picked up, so that way somebody can say, you see, I told you, they did Jerod Mayo wrong, so that way they could bring in Mike Vrabel. You guys obviously caught that little bit with Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith. I'm here to tell you right now that it's not as cut and dry as you think. When Bill Belichick was still in New England, I want to say it was the last year that Tom Brady was there, the 2019 season. I want to go ahead and say this. It is believed that Bob Kraft wanted Bill Belichick gone then. He wanted Bill Belichick gone then because there was no Tom Brady. I mean, he would have preferred to have Tom Brady. And the belief was that he was trying to get it to where Josh McDaniels could be the head coach of the New England Patriots, and Bill Belichick would be the one that would eventually be forced to step down or get fired. Belichick was the head of personnel. His salary was never disclosed, and of course he was the head coach, and obviously Bill Belichick was not going anywhere. And going back to Belichick, and I want to say this one more time for people in the back. At the end of the 2019 season, Belichick was given a chance to coach the team, and he had the draft. And, of course, they went into the 2020 season. He had Cam Newton. They went 8-8. And then the very next year, they had Mac Jones. They actually had an 11-6 record. They had a winning record. And then next thing you know, they're 8-8. And he's relying on third-string quarterback Bailey Zappi for parts of the year. Obviously, the team was going to decline, and Mac Jones did not work out, but you're going to hear me say this again, that Bill Belichick actually had Bob Kraft had somebody already in mind to replace Bill Belichick someday, and that person was not Jerod Mayo. Hence the reason why it is that he said the situation was untenable, which tells me that Jerod Mayo was never really and truly long for this world, meaning the head coach of the New England Patriots. However, and you will hear me say it again over the course of this video, that if he had won maybe 2 or 3 more games, Bob Kraft might would stick with him for 1 more season. But then again, though, here we are once again talking about Jerod Mayo no longer being the head coach of the New England Patriots. Maybe he shouldn't have talked about race or thought about race going into the job and treated football the way it is, as a sport that is not designed to be focused on race, because you don't win football games or create a strong team by focusing in on race. Just saying. I mean, it's pretty daggone divisive to bring that up. It's part of the reason why it is so many people don't like what's happening to our military. These are the people who serve our country. These are the people who make sure that you have the rights and the freedoms to be the way you are. And you want to divide them with CRT and all that nonsense there. But once again, different topic, different day. Let's get back on track. I just can't help but think that a brand new narrative is being set. You see, not every single narrative out there has got to be a narrative based upon race. And even those who, let's just say, would be against that same said narrative could still dutifully, accidentally create another narrative. Obviously, the narrative here being that, the Patriots got rid of Jerod Mayo to get Mike Vrabel. But of course, you guys will hear me say here shortly that it's not that simple, and that Bob Kraft actually had somebody in mind to run the Patriots before Mike Vrabel. Just simply saying, but let's continue. So eventually, when the 2019 season concludes, Josh McDaniels does what? He goes to the Raiders. It may have been 2020, I'm not entirely sure, but he found himself with the Raiders. He was given a head coaching opportunity that many people scoffed at and believed he probably should not have gotten. The fact of the matter is that Robert Kraft has always wanted Josh McDaniels to be the guy to head up that organization or head up that team, not Jerod Mayo or Mike Vrabel. Jerod Mayo was brought in to basically be a stopgap, that is true, but if the Patriots had maybe won a couple more games, they might have actually gone with him for at least 1 more season. By the way, Mike Vrabel was fired at the end of the 2023 season. He's been a consultant with the Cleveland Browns, so it's not like he had been coaching or had a head coaching gig and that he was going straight into it, or he quit his job to take the gig, even though obviously Mike Vrabel's in everybody's coaching pool, head coaching pool, from the Patriots to the Jets to Jacksonville Jaguars, who obviously decided to get rid of Doug Peterson. The fact of the matter is that there are jobs out there. And it is not a guarantee that Mike Vrabel is going to take the head coaching job in New England. I'm no fan of Josh McDaniels. I absolutely cannot stand Josh McDaniels, but for some odd reason, Bob Kraft wanted him to head up that organization a few years ago. I'm just saying, you never know. However, a narrative about Mike Vrabel is coming, and of course, it's probably going to be a narrative that says that, this right here was pretty shady, and Jerod Mayo was screwed over for that reason, rather than the go-to race narrative. With that right there being said, guys, make sure you guys please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section. There will be a video coming out sometime shortly after this right here. This right here will be an 11 o'clock video. I changed my mind over the course of this video. The narrative setting video will be out at 2 o'clock. And, of course, the video on the issue with FS1 will be coming out at 6. So make sure you guys stick around for all 3. Please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.